Right. Right. Well, thank you, C Squared, Krista and Chris. I'm Ashley French, Director of Talent Acquisition for Arkansas Center for Data Sciences. We are a nonprofit that I think a few of you are familiar with. You have taken advantage of some of the free training resources and career coaching that we provide. And I'm very, very excited to have my pal and confidant and alumni of ACDS, Katie.
Hey there. So I'm Vereen, Katie Frazier Vereen. I'm a recruiter at Simmons Bank. If you are from Little Rock or Pine Bluff, you probably have seen us across the state with Simmons Bank Arena and are familiar with us. We've been in business since 1930 and we are growing our IT department all the time. And so I'm specifically an IT recruiter for the bank. So I know a thing or two about resumes and networking in this industry. So I'm excited to share some of that knowledge with you today. So just jumping in, we're going to start off with touching on some different positions that you may be applying for these roles. So a lot of times people want to jump right off the gate into becoming a cybersecurity analyst, and that is great. That's awesome. But there's also other ways to build a foundation of your knowledge before you jump into that career right off the bat. So some of those positions, help desk technicians really provide that technical support and troubleshooting. It's that end user support that need assistance with hardware, software, that sort of things. There's different ways you could do this role, whether it's in-house or remote work. If it's in-house, you'd be working actually in office. If it's remote, you can remote in. You provide technical assistance, help to install computer programs, perform account maintenance. Network analysts are another great role to help you build that strong foundation for a career in cybersecurity. They are tasked with installing, supporting, and managing the network. Really have to keep those that information flowing, whether it's implementing and maintaining network hardware and software, troubleshooting the network problems, and ensuring the security and availability of those performance standards. There's also a big portion of creating that documentation so that folks know what to do as they go down the line. So these are both two really great fields that we just want you to keep an eye out for when you're applying for jobs, just because these are great foundational roles. Of course, cybersecurity analyst roles are great in protecting hardware, software networks from cyber criminals. It's responsible for configuring tools, specifically in the form of virus software, password protectors, vulnerability management systems. You're going to evaluate company needs based on what they need. A lot of these duties include reporting. So what's currently going on in the networks, evaluating its strength. One big skill is you have to learn how to read these reports and interpret it. So it'll show you what's well protected and indicate if there's any unusual activity going on. And then, of course, evaluating weaknesses, so threat prevention. No network is fully secure, but the goal is to make it as secure as possible. So part of this is to continuously test all the company networks and find the weaknesses before bad actors and external threats can promise them.
Right. And just to really reinforce, what Katie mentioned on, so often we visit with job seekers, and when it comes to ideal position, they are so targeted on cybersecurity. And of course, Forge and their mission, it is a hot market that is growing and expanding. But kind of what we've seen as past success is typically that first position isn't right at a cybersecurity analyst. There have been folks working, within on the military side or within telecom as those NOC analysts or a network analyst, SOC, and even like your managed services provider. So think of just an IT support technician. Those type of roles, call out to, of course, Simmons Bank, our preferred banking partner of choice.
Mhm.
But a lot of banks deal with security issues, of course. Think about it, financial data. They have all these rules and regulations, FCC, ABC, 123. But yeah, so, think of those type of companies to target in your job search, and know that you're learning the foundation of what's behind the network, what's behind the scene to get your foot in the door. And then after you kind of pay those dues, transition into something more cybersecurity focused, pen testing, all that real cool stuff. All right, so we recently, well, not that recently, probably about 6 months ago, we pushed out a survey to specifically hiring managers within Arkansas that hire for IT positions. And we wanted to get some data behind, okay, if you don't have a college degree within computer science, if you don't have, previous IT work experience, what impresses you most on that resume? And here's some of the data that we found. They expect your resume to be tailored to the position. So if you're applying for a SOC analyst and it says IT support, that may prevent you from going into the yes to the no stack. So sometimes just that quick edit at the top of your resume on the objective that we'll kind of get to really makes the difference. They like to see longevity at a company. So in the recruiter world, we call that, job hopper, red flag. So, we want to see that you have held down a position for at least a year or so. That shows that you show up, you're on time, you didn't get fired. And I love, hackathons. Jolt just had their hackathon. And so you missed that opportunity. But, when you think about what I can do to learn, in addition to add to my resume to make me a more marketable candidate, think of a hackathon. I'm sure there's some virtual ones outside of, just Jolt, but, other key things, passion for technology, leadership, if you've ever, even if it was a group project type of leadership role, or a nonprofit that you volunteer with and you're the secretary or vice chair, things like that show your ability. And sometimes, since you're voted on by your peers, it shows how you collaborate with others. Especially within cybersecurity, hiring managers love active security clearance. So if you already have that, or maybe even target those type of companies that will get you that clearance. So companies that work with federal state agencies or DoD contractors. One of our company partners, CAE, they're based out of Sherwood. They do kind of custom aviation training modules for different DoD contractors and federal agencies. And if you'll look at their job descriptions, almost every single one requires the ability to get secret clearance. And I think that even if you're taking a position as a developer or a help desk technician, that is a wonderful starting point to kind of learn the tech side, in addition to getting those specific security marketable traits. All right, and then to the opposite, what's a deal breaker? What is going to cause your resume potentially to go in the Dear John, sorry stack? Typos, misspellings. If you don't know how to press spell check, and don't judge, I think I saw a place where I missed one on this presentation, but make sure you hit the spell check, because it shows up in red on the resume review side. Again, they mentioned resumes not being tailored. Again, job hopping. So we're seeing that kind of consistent theme. Pictures and hobbies was mentioned by a few managers. So yeah, no need to put a picture on your resume. So leave that off, even though I love seeing your faces live here. Thank you so much for being on camera. Appreciate that. Now, hobbies, I will kind of mention, if it is related to, the job that you're targeting, I think you add it. Specifically at, such as if you're a part of the Central Arkansas Hackers Association. You know, if it's job relevant, it's okay. Katie, anything that stood out?
I think you nailed it with the pictures and hobbies. I know all the time we will get a resume that has something that just distracts, whether it's you know, live action role play that's on there or something like that, the Dungeons and Dragons, and it distracts from it. Those are great hobbies, but you just don't need to put it if it's not job relevant. I do think though, anything you can put on there, and we'll talk about, I don't want to jump too far ahead. We'll talk about it.
All right, and then we added kind of a few specific quotes from some of the active hiring managers in the local area. You know, but kind of the three consistent themes that we kept seeing in this survey was, number one, self-learn online. When you interview a candidate and you ask them questions on what network protocols you know about, what does VoIP stand for? You know, if they keep coming back with, I don't know, oh, I've never had to use that at work, that's okay. I'm not asking about that. I'm asking what you do know. We're in an age where so much is just a click away. Again, if you need free training resources, give myself or Jenny or Nicole on the call a holler. There's really no excuse that prevents you from doing some self-learning online. And in an interview, anytime you don't have that experience or you don't know the answer, that's a great follow-up. Use that as a follow-up when you say, thank you for your time. I did additional research on network protocols and I learned this. You know, another thing is a technical project completed recently. That's a little harder when you're targeting cybersecurity type roles. Again, that could be a hackathon, but you know, so many of the developer programming skill sets, you know, when it's Python or PowerShell, think of how you're going to showcase your knowledge, even if it's textbook knowledge that you've done online. How do you showcase that in an interview? And that's going to be some type of project or activity.
I can jump in, Ashley.
Yeah.
A question I always ask in my interviews is, what's a skill or ability you're currently trying to work on or improve within the next few months? And that may be learning that this person is working on their A+ certification. It shows that you have goals and that you know the areas that you're trying to learn. And so being able to always have something like that to mention and talk about really shows that you're eager and driven and you do know these things.
Absolutely. And then again, it looks like, you know, one of the managers mentioned just being able to showcase your intrinsic interest. A manager wants to hire someone that enjoys their job. Go figure. You know, so think about it in your own, you know, do you want to hang out or go to a concert with someone that doesn't enjoy concerts? Probably not. They're not going to be on that group text. So, you know, really make sure that you're showcasing that passion and that interest.
Okay, resumes. I am notably a resume snob, but that's because I look at them all day. I think the biggest tip when you're applying, Ashley mentioned it earlier, is please, please, please tailor your resume to the job posting. If I have a position that says SOC analyst, I want to see those words somewhere on that resume, whether it's in an objective or in their self-learning, what they've been learning about that area. I want to know that they are specifically applying for my role. Don't forget to customize the objective, and that's where you could put in, you know, I'm open to relocating to where this position is at. You're able to give it a little bit more information, like just graduated or currently going through a program. You're able to just really help answer any of those questions that may leave that hiring manager thinking, do I want to interview them or not? Please narrow your resume down to 1 to 2 pages. I had one this morning that was 6 pages, and I was like, this is too much to read. Recruiters, we're kind of lazy. We're resume stops, but we don't want to read too much. We really want just the need to know information and make that concise. Use bullet points. The objective is really the only area you should have a paragraph or a couple of sentences. Keep it simple, black and white, no graphics, no pictures. Sometimes people put in like the CISSP logo or the Comp TIA plus A+ logo. That's not necessary. Just put that on there if it's your certification. You don't have to upload the graphic. A lot of times recruiters use an applicant tracking system, Workday, Greenhouse, Steleo, these different, we'll fix the slideshow in a second. But we use these applicant tracking systems to upload our resume, and we still read them. It's not just all an algorithm that sorts it for us, but having a lot of graphics and fancy stuff on the resume can slow things down and make it upload weird. Other important things to know is that you're going to want to have a skill summary. So I'm looking for keywords when I'm looking at your resume. I want to see, do you know Python? I want to see if you have any knowledge of network protocols, if you have experience with PowerShell or Wireshark, any SIM tools. I want to see those specific things that you're studying or what you've learned.
And I do want to jump in on recruiters are not lazy. Come on.
We're not lazy. We just don't like to read.
We just have a lot of resumes. So think about the average job posting has 200 applications. So unfortunately, especially a corporate recruiter like Katie, she may have anywhere from 30 to 40 positions.
50.
50. Okay, who can do math? 50 times, we'll just say 100. So is that what, 5? Whoa,
it's a lot.
So, like she said, recruiters are going to use these filters on salary, on keywords. You're getting a 3-second scan. So it's not just, time, lazy, even, we're talkers. So making it easy to scan, significantly helps, get your resume on the, the right stack to get an interview.
I really like this resume in particular. It's very clean. I wear glasses. I have very bad eyes. And so there's not too much on here that confuses me with lines and such as that. That's just me being picky. But it has the skill summary right at the top. So I can immediately go to that and say, okay, do they have what is on the job description? Please reference the job description when you're creating your resume to say, oh, this is how they worded that. Oh, these are the skills. I have that. It's easy to take those things and apply them and use their language. Every company, they may call things different. They may refer to something in a particular term. So you kind of have to learn to speak their language. But definitely the skills they have that you have on those job descriptions, be sure to put that on there. Ashley, if you can click back, I think the resume is not sure. There we go. Education, whether that is, a 4-year, 2-year degree, if it's a program, if it's a certificate, if it's LinkedIn Learning. I love LinkedIn Learning. Put those hours that are on there. If you have just been prepping for a certification, put that you're studying for it on there. It's definitely helpful to have that information on there. I like the course topics because that also tells me exactly what you're going to be able to talk about. And then, of course, put your professional experience. Something to note, this person has been in their role as a shift manager, supervising folks since 2016. That is awesome. I love to see that on a resume. It shows me so many different skills and that they're trustworthy and they're dependable and they can manage people. That's what I want to see when I look at a resume. So certifications are really important in the cybersecurity world. Don't stress if you don't have any yet, because we all understand it takes time. These are some of the most probably prevalent ones. I know there's also a Google IT support one that I think is a little bit more accessible sometimes as far as costs, but it's also a great one.
We have some available for free. We have, so if anyone has seen the professional Google career certificates, reach out to myself or any of the ACDS folks. We'll be happy to get you some access to that for free.
Yeah, I was talking to a hiring manager last week, and they specifically asked about that certification and said, hey, this is a great one. I'd love to see. Taylor, are you raising your hand, or are you just saying hi?
No, I'm raising my hand. I have a question. So for, places like, boutique cyber certifications, right? People who are doing more of the hands-on training stuff, maybe like a local vendor, for example. What do you guys see in that? Do you guys see the value of that? Are you guys able to equate value of a boutique vendor to a resume?
Absolutely. I think when you are able to I think it's all about communication at the end of the day, and you're able to articulate what you're learning and what you're providing. It's absolutely valuable. It doesn't have to be these names that you see like the Google certification or the Microsoft suite. If it's a boutique vendor, I love that. I just want it to be articulated to me, because there are people that are familiar. Having been an ACDS alumni, I know a thing or two, but there are other folks that just moved in from Arkansas and don't know things. And so having an advocate and being able to talk a little bit about that helps.
So see how they listed the University of Arkansas online course. So this is how you would want to put any type of boot camp or similar type of training initiative, to where you're going to educate the recruiter. So it's a win-win. You're educating the recruiter on what this boutique training, who it is, where it's from. If it's a long, if it's a 6-month training program, I would maybe mention that. But you're also going to focus on listing a few of those buzzwords, keywords that the coursework focused on. So I think, absolutely that will help, any type of training or learning will successfully, open doors and hopefully get you more interviews. Should we pause for questions since we don't have chat? Anyone else?
I'm sorry. I was like, at least Taylor could raise his hand. But yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, if you hit the reactions button, you can raise your hand.
So I have a question with just kind of going I guess, kind of secondary to Taylor's, but you know how you were talking about different organizations will have the systems that kind of scrape the data, and you really can't make it in unless you have these certain key points. You're probably going to talk about this, so I don't want to get ahead, but how do you overcome some of that?
So kind of like Katie mentioned, so if you are applying to your dream job, and let me first kind of go back to that, the job market is a numbers game. Spoiler alert, probably 40% of the jobs that you see out on job boards already have an internal candidate identified. Do not take it personal, which I know it's so hard to not, because you're putting yourself out there. But know that, corporate legal departments, HR departments, they make the hiring manager post it, even if they have someone internally on their team already identified. So know that you're going to have to apply to 20 jobs to get one interview, especially if you're transitioning from, an industry. So maybe you're in the restaurant industry and you're trying to transition into, IT or, IT security. That's going to be, maybe even more, maybe 30, 40 applications. It depends on how, how much self-learning you can showcase on that resume, lots of different factors. But, what Crystal's referencing is basically a keyword match. Guys, these fancy application tools, you push a button and it scrapes the keywords on a job description, the words on your resume, and it's going to match it up, give you a percentage, and then your 100 resumes go, green, yellow, red. If you were a recruiter, who would you strategically interview first? What top 10 would you send a, interview requests to? So, the answer to that question, Crystal, is you look at the job description on, what are they looking to hire? If you have that knowledge, if you have that skill set, make sure it's listed.
So question to that too, sorry. But I think it'd be helpful. So how people are like, oh, well, it'd be great if you had XYZ. Do they scrape for that data too? So it's kind of an optional thing to have, but is it really optional?
So in that situation, I would be doing a manual keyword search. So, most of those features are just as is, big field.
Okay.
But if there is a specific, the manager only wants to see someone with PowerShell, I would just do a keyword search, on my own.
This is why it's really important for you to tailor your resume for each job that you're applying for.
All right.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Sorry. I was like, man, all the technology is so wonderful.
All right, so let's talk about how you're going to beat the odds of the dreaded applicant tracking system and the numbers game of applications. All right, so I think we're familiar with, we're all in Arkansas. Sometimes you've maybe heard it's the good old boy network, which us females are trying to give you a run for your money. I'm trying to get as many ladies in tech as possible. Not saying I have any favorites by any means, but sometimes it's who you know on how you get your first job opportunity. And networking is a fantastic avenue on how you get someone to vouch for you when you apply. I bet Katie has lots of employees that reach out to her. Hey, my cousin, brother, sister, my boyfriend, my girlfriend applied to this position. Some of those rules that we talked about on keyword matching, on customizing the resume, sometimes that goes to the side because you have someone vouching for them, saying that they have a good work ethic, as a reference. So networking is, looking at your who you know, and you're doing it with a purpose. You're doing it to uncover job opportunities. Get down to business. It's all great, if you want to volunteer or just meet people or maybe even identify a mentor, but strategically try to work within like meetup groups that will successfully help your job search. I think we mentioned the Central Arkansas Hackers group. If you don't know Chris Wright, then I would say you're probably not a real hacker yet in the city of Little Rock. But definitely reach out and expand who you know, because I think that will absolutely supplement your job search. And 35% of people on LinkedIn said that a casual message, whether it's to a recruiter or someone in their network, led to a new opportunity. And we'll kind of jump into, what to say next. And then 80% of job seekers in general say their network has somehow helped them find work. So looking at these percentages, why wouldn't you utilize the who you know? And, think about, church, or think about your parents' network, your friends' network. You can search on LinkedIn to see, where your high school classmates work and reach out to them for, maybe a job shadow. And I don't want to spoil kind of the next one.
Yeah, so jumping in, let's say you've got your LinkedIn profile all up to date. You have all your skills on there. You have what you're studying on there. And you have somebody add you that maybe you have something in common. Maybe it was your classmate's mom or something like that. And you want to reach out. How do you do that and not make it awkward? Well, be normal, address, each other, be friendly, tell them a little bit about what you've been up to. And if you're career changing and they're in that industry, share, hey, I'm reaching out because I noticed you're at Simmons Bank and I'm interested in getting into cybersecurity and being a stock analyst out of financial services. And be open, be friendly, really be ready to have that conversation. Sometimes it's awkward reaching out to somebody you don't know. I had somebody tell me once, lean into the uncomfortable, and that's what I do. And it really makes me feel like I'm doing something right because I'm listening to that phrase, and that kind of takes away some of that awkwardness and that uncomfortability. You want to have a good dialogue with them, be transparent about what you're doing, but get to know them too. One thing that you want to do is ask questions. If you're wanting to know about financial services, you want to ask, are you a Jack Henry bank or a Fiserv bank? And that's a banking thing, but you're going to want to do some research on backgrounds and questions to ask. And it's great to get to know them and figure out, places they've worked in the past and places they recommend. They probably have great advice. One thing you can also do is if you see that they reshared something from a recruiter saying they're looking for an accountant and you have a good friend that's an accountant, you can say, oh, also I saw you posted this before. I have a friend that's looking for work as an accountant, kind of give and take a little bit. Just to help, create and cultivate that relationship. It's really kind of just a nice thing to do. And then most importantly, we're in the South, we're Southern, we are polite, we say thank you. We follow up with a written email. And this is just basic ways to start those conversations, whether it's through LinkedIn, even Facebook. A lot of times you have more people that you know personally through Facebook. And you can ask them, hey, what's your email? I have a career related question. So you don't have to keep it all on social media. I've done that a time or two. But LinkedIn, as a recruiter, I live and breathe LinkedIn. We have a special type of LinkedIn where we can see a lot more than the average person. And I can search based on what is on your profile. And so it's really important to keep that as updated as you are your resume. So how do you grow your network? LinkedIn, you can add folks that went to your high school that are in the same club as you. There's even a filter on mine that says people you may know in Little Rock. And so just adding people from there. Don't go on a spree just to add everybody you want to know, but you can send a nice message saying, hey, I'm looking to grow my network. This is what I'm interested in. I'd love if we could connect and maybe get coffee. That's a great way to reach out to somebody you don't know. People are really big on content creation in LinkedIn right now. And so what that is, it's creating original content, saying, sharing stories, talking about your job search, talking about what you're learning. As long as you keep it within the professional guidelines, it's really growing, and that's a great way to grow your network. The more you comment on other people's stuff, the more likely they're going to comment on your stuff and sharing it. And it's going to boost your visibility of your posts so that you grow your network. Those are things I've seen people get really big overnight on LinkedIn just from starting their content creation. Other ways to grow your network, events. We talked about the Central Arkansas Hackers groups. There's meetup groups. They don't necessarily have to be focused on work. I got invited to a Fly Fishers of Arkansas group last weekend or weekend before last, and it was just a cool way to get to know other people that, maybe in my field. There's also Eventbrite that has a lot of events. And then think about your organizations that you're an alumni of. Other organizations, I'm in Junior League, which is just a bunch of women that get together and do philanthropy and community service. And there are people from all different industries. And so it's great to get involved in these organizations because you never know who's going to be a connection for you. The Chamber of Commerce has events. There's actually a Women in Business event coming up at the end of this month. Your local library, Central Arkansas Library System, has events all the time that are speakers, public interest groups. There's so many possibilities, but you can grow your network through getting to talk with your hairdresser. I love my hairdresser, and she gives me so many great recommendations, and she knows people that knows people. Think of how many people she sees a day. There's endless possibilities once you just kind of lean into that uncomfortableness or awkwardness of starting a conversation about growing your career.
All right. Let's open it up for some Q&A. And wait, you know what? There's a networking event by Forge. Wait, aren't you hosting some soiree at a rooftop something?
Well, since you mentioned it, yes, we are having a networking event / meet the Forge team tomorrow, again, in an event in an effort to help you guys meet as many cyber and IT people who are amazing, who we think are amazing as well. We're hosting a rooftop event. If you're local in Little Rock here downtown from 4 to 6 tomorrow. Should be fun. And I heard there were going to be cookies, but that's just what I heard. Crystal will have to confirm. No.
I'm like, fuel the private jet and somebody come get me. 4 to 6 tomorrow at is it Hilton? What is it renamed? Agassi 7?
The Agassi 7 is at the Hilton rooftop.
We'd love for you to RSVP, but obviously if you show up, we're not going to turn you away. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'd love to hear, any job seekers that want to ask any specific questions or, what the market is like. Are you getting interviews or anyone? Way to put you on Front Street, I know. Oh, Zach's going off mute.
Hey, yeah. So first, I would just like to say thank you to everyone. This has been super informational and super awesome. So again, thank you so much for hosting. I really appreciate it.
Yay, Forge.
And then, so I am really interested in the world of front-end development and UX and UI design. And then eventually I want to venture into sort of the back end to get kind of a full stack view of development. And so I was wondering if you had any advice for job seekers that are developers in order to like scrape through the, the different ATSs and stuff like that.
Well, for sure, GitHub.
Yes, GitHub for sure.
I know that doesn't help your scraping, but Katie, you go. I think you had a.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that would be helpful is kind of thinking outside the box. And I know sometimes the front end stuff sits in our marketing department because, it's got to thinking about how things look and that sort of thing, which doesn't make sense, but that's how it is. But thinking outside the box, but going back to no matter whether it's front-end design, development, cybersecurity, really tailor that resume. I know that's a lot to ask when you're applying to 20 jobs for one interview. That's the statistic. It's a lot to tailor 20 resumes. But if you're applying to 5 different roles that you really have your heart set on, that you think, okay, I can really, I have a shot at this. I want these particular ones. Sit down and work on those 5 different resumes and tailor them to specifically the skills that are on there that you have and use those same wordings, because that beats it at the end of the day. And if I'm a recruiter and I am looking for those people on LinkedIn, those skills need to be on your LinkedIn because that's what's going to pop up. There's a new feature I'm so excited about that came out today, and it's called Recommended Candidates. And it's pulling the profiles that have the most relevant words in my search. And it's awesome, but they don't necessarily fill people in that this is happening. So LinkedIn is really important. It's as important as your resume to me.
So Zach, I was actually multitasking, so I was like, I know him, and I grabbed your resume. So your resume looks good. I won't show your address or get anyone to stalk you or anything like that. But your skills, your tool stack is at the bottom. You know,
Yeah.
and I don't see Java. I don't see, you know, some of our buzzwords, even if it's novice or beginner exposure.
Mhm.
I don't think I can multitask and go back to the resume again, but you can put that in parentheses, and you want to move that skill section to the top.
Okay.
And then on your objective or your summary, kind of a sprinkle about you, but
Mhm.
then put in bold, you know, targeting job opportunities within UI, UX,
Mhm.
front end, web development to really make it stand out.
Okay.
Those are kind of
Awesome.
two pieces to ensure, you know, you're helping from a keyword matching standpoint.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
So when you ladies are looking through the resumes and people know that they need to have these buzzwords, do you ever come across resumes and candidates that put the buzzwords but are maybe not so qualified?
So, yes, I had one for a security architect the other day, which is, you got to know your stuff. And that comes through in the interview. So you never want to embellish. Being honest and put those parentheses that say novice or beginner level. Because I'm happy to know that and happy to consider that. And that would come up in the conversation. It saves me some time and it shows some integrity. Key values are really important to the company I work for, and integrity is one of our key values. And so one of those, or being able to be upfront and honest about that at the beginning and not embellish, that's a major red flag.
And be able to pull something recent to where I ask candidates about Microsoft Excel. That is a very common basic software, you know, especially for we hire a lot of data analyst folks. And I hear frequently, oh, I haven't used it in 5 years. I haven't used it. So try to, as best as possible, you know, be able to do a quick recall of, you know, I haven't used it professionally in a while. However, I've been strengthening my skills with this programming project. I'm doing a Udemy course on Python, XYZ. Taylor, I see you. You
Hey,
have a thought or?
yes. So I was gonna ask if I could go ahead and like share my resume real quick with the class here, because I just went through this whole process. I am a cyber guy that has just transitioned out of the Navy about 5 months ago, and I have a resume that, you know,
Thank
gave
you
me
for
a
your
little bit of,
service.
yeah, appreciate it. It gave me a little bit of attention based on the format, and I think that it looks good, but if you guys don't, then I would love to hear that too. So let me see. So yeah, so I did the same thing as everybody else, where I put like a small, you know, upfront paragraph about myself. I had my, you know, top 3 traits where I'm, you know, really skilled, I believe. And then, you know, a few sub traits that I think are kind of highlights of my career. And then it goes into education, all of my certifications for cyber, and then a technical competency. And so I think that it's important to note all of your certifications, if especially within cyber, kind of upfront, personally. And then I think that all of, and even like mine, right? For example, my certification is expired in these, right? But the fact that I have certified in those in the past and that I could potentially recertify is still something that the companies are interested in. From there, it goes into, you know, my technical competency. So I can show, you know, what software I have competency with, what operating systems, networking, processes, programming, and then enterprise applications. And those are just kind of 6 of them that I chose personally because those are more of my facets, but there are several different areas that you could be successful within. So
I think it looks great. What I really like that you on the first page breaking down those areas into software and networking and that kind of stuff really helps me focus in when I am trying to get through 50 different jobs with tons of resumes each. It really helps. Overall, this looks great. I love it.
Okay, cool. And what do you guys think about adding like features and awards and then volunteer and mentorship stuff? Is that something that's important on resumes?
Yes,
Yes,
I like it.
Yes. When I see Eagle Scout on there, I love that because we have some folks that are Eagle Scouts, and they always are like, "Oh, that's so cool," because they know the hard work and the dedication. And so, other awards and achievements, I think they're great, and they're relevant because they show dedication, they show hard work.
Cool. Well, if anybody wants a format for a resume.
So I do
reach
want
out
to
to
be
me.
honest though.
Yeah.
So this is a very common format. I don't know if you got it, from the TAPS program when you were transitioning out.
Yep.
It screams, I've seen it. It also, for some reason, subconsciously, it makes me think expensive. So if my budget was only $70,000, I don't know if I would interview you because I may make that wrong assumption or right assumption. Don't say anything, but I'm just pointing that out. Your summary, it's almost a lot.
Okay.
And I almost scan over it because it's so much on, because I see cybersecurity at the top, so I don't need to know anything else. I'm already making an assumption that you're military, and I haven't even seen military on there. And well, there it is. But so I would maybe look at condensing the top part and ensuring it showcases what positions you're applying for. Like right now, if it's just cybersecurity intelligence analyst, you're good just with that first sentence. Boom.
Yeah.
Move the other accomplishments to your bulleted section. I can't remember where it was, but
Yeah, it comes down here, and then it's got some.
But it is beautiful format in regards to your use of bold and italics. You've got your dates on a different alignment. So visually, the only constructive, feedback would be, think of those ADD recruiters that don't like to read and ensure that your keywords pop out.
Okay. That's interesting.
In a scan, if I was hiring for, anything within cybersecurity that was on the higher end, that's what this resume speaks to.
Okay. Sweet.
Only one thing. If you're going to use periods at the end of a bullet, you have to be consistent.
Yeah, agreed. And I noticed that just now. But
well, at least it doesn't say like you're really highly pay attention to detail, because then you're like, no, I'm sorry, no, you don't. Oh.
Yeah, no, you're not. I will add that I'm not for hire. So anybody that's out there.
I'm like, make sure there's something on here that's like wrong, because I was like, what are you doing, Taylor?
When it comes to kind of soft skills, oh my gosh, if someone tells me their strength is I'm hardworking or I'm detailed, you better have an example. If you're going to say it, if it's going to be, in your core, you must have an example or tell me about a time that you showcase that. So when it comes to those soft skills, make sure that you have an example to back it up. All right. Anyone?
Like a couple more minutes. Ask the experts. And or if you think of a question after 12 when time's up, connect with us on LinkedIn. I just thought about it. It'd be great if I had chat and we could drop our LinkedIn in there, but my fault. So we're just gonna have to write each other's name down and LinkedIn each other the old-fashioned way.
Good deal. Well, Crystal, thanks so much for having us.
No, thank you guys for attending. You guys were amazing as always. The questions were great.
Oh,
there's a question.
Question.
We're about to wrap up. There's a question.
Oh yeah.
CD, is that a question or a wave, a so farewell or question?
I
Oh,
think
you're on mute.
yeah, he's having troubles unmuting.
I know it's hard on these phones.
All right, there, I got it. All right, this meeting was recorded. I'm at work, so I've missed part of it. How do I access the recording to review it? Maybe go over some of the things that I missed or what maybe to see.
You
I think we can send it to everybody that's registered, and then we'll put it on the Forge Institute YouTube channel. So, but yeah, we'll send it to you in an email as soon as we clean it up and make sure it looks all pretty. We'll get it out probably at the end of today, if not first thing tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Right, that was an easy question. All right, well, good
Yeah, I
deal.
was like, let me take that one. I know the answer to it.
I was like, any more questions?
Only
Okay.
if they're like that.
Right. Okay, guys. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for lending your expertise to helping us achieve our mission and our goal for this week. I'm so excited and so happy that you guys said yes to our request and that you showed up the way that you showed up. It's important. It's amazing. You're doing amazing work. And that is all that I have. If anyone has questions, again, let us know. Feel free to reach out. We hope to see you guys tomorrow if you can make it to our in-person networking event. I love Zoom, but I love a good old fashioned, hey, how are you? My name is Chris on my name badge. So I'm excited to be able to meet you guys. But stay tuned for just doing some great things, have some great opportunities and bits down the road, down the pipeline. So if you like this, it's only going to get better from here. I mean, I don't know how we're going to top Ashley and Katie, but we will figure it out because that's just what we do. So again, thank you guys and have the most amazing rest of your day.
Thank you.